Hello there, this is Dave. Just thought I'd follow up from yesterday along the lines of the same topic that I had, which was based on a saying from Jesus, a saying from Christ, from Matthew chapter 10, and specifically verse 26. And so I titled the video there, Nothing Concealed That Will Not Be Revealed. It's one of the basic truths of life and theology in the Bible. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news if you didn't know that already. So, I don't think I got to every single point that I wanted to say. I just said enough satisfactorily. And I was kind of in the middle of a crowded room there, so I apologize about the audio quality. I had a huge bunch of people show up. I'm not sure if that's because I announced the broadcast in advance and stuff. But anyway, the verse says in verse 26, "Therefore do not fear them, for there is nothing concealed that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be known. What I tell you in the darkness, speak in the light. What you hear whispered in your ear, proclaim upon the housetops." Explain how that's part of the Lesser Commission. We talked about the workers of Satan on earth, how they can be disguised as the workers of light, and vice versa. The hireling of John 10 I talked about the various ways that this whole thing could happen for real. The way some of those objections come up is because people still sometimes aren't certain about the outcome of certain things. There are highly contested cases that happen. For example, the kidnapping of the Lindbergh baby is one of them. I'll have to get out my other device here in order to talk about it. The kidnapping of the Lindbergh baby was a famous case, basically, and I will go ahead here, get my notes out if you allow me just a minute. Get delay broadcast here. Well, let's see. It's in my documents, and it's right here. I don't know if people realize that in the case of the Lindbergh baby, the legal matter is pretty much already settled. It's just a question of how far people want to contest the basic facts. Basically, on my screen, why don't I put this in airplane mode so I can see, so it's not being interfered with. In 1932, looks like May 12th, that's the date that baby was found. Okay, Charles Lindbergh's baby was found on that date, more than 2 months after he was kidnapped from his family's mansion. Okay. The crime had captured the attention of the entire nation, America. The person that they placed on trial for kidnapping and killing the baby was Bruno Hauptmann. Hauptmann, I guess it is. A German immigrant. So that's the person that they nailed for kidnapping the Lindbergh baby. Okay. And as a result of that crime, kidnapping and transporting a person across state lines is federal crime. Kidnapping across state lines is a federal crime, basically, as a result of that. Well, the whole thing about that crime is they thought it would go unsolved until more evidence turned up, basically. So the only thing about that is it's still controversial a little bit, even though they think they caught the guy at the time. Another interesting case was the disappearance of Amelia Earhart. New evidence came up recently as to what happened to Amelia Earhart. I apologize about the background noise. People always feel like they have to talk loud in my presence if I'm doing something important, so they're going to raise their voices, naturally speaking. Not too bad. Let me check to see if my broadcast line is still going here. I'm not speaking to dead air. Okay, no, it's still going. Like I was just saying, the disappearance of Amelia Earhart, the pilot, is also a mystery. Um, she was last heard from on July 2nd, 1937. Her plane vanished while she was flying around the world, or trying to. Yeah, it was around the world flight. They planned a flight around the world, basically. And the U.S. government concluded that she and the person she was traveling with must have been lost in the Pacific somewhere, and they declared them dead. Their remains were never found. Recently, a documentary team unearthed photographic evidence suggesting that the two may have survived a crash by landing in the Marshall Islands. So they found a photograph that indicates that may be the fact of the matter. So that's another thing that we could expect to know more about, either in the future or at the final judgment and resurrection, or in heaven if we want to know it, like I was saying yesterday. And I described the whole thing as what's possible there. Like, for example, in the case of literal heaven, that there could be a library archive where you could go and look up any specific information on any person and any goings on, any events that happened in life. I've since realized that point of view would be a problem for people who don't believe in specifically a literal heaven, and that's the type of heresy that I guess we'd rightly call what do you call it? Aberrancy, basically. It's aberrant, or it's an aberrancy. It depends how far you want to like press the hard line down, because you could just draw the hard line on orthodoxy versus heresy and say, well, that's just heresy. It's unbiblical. It makes no perfect sense. If it's unscriptural, and you could say something's heresy. So I've been through arguments with people over whether C.S. Lewis is a heretic. You could say he had many aberrancies, for sure. He had aberrant points of view that were not really like scriptural. He had just enough like thinking to say I guess he's Christian. He didn't really adhere to penal substitution per se and stuff. I don't think he believed in a literal heaven and hell, salvation and stuff. Is strange, but so that kind of point of view, not a literal heaven. That's like a C.S. Lewis aberrancy. And I know he's a beloved writer and author, and has written on a lot of good subject matters. But like I said, not scriptural. If I believe what's written in the words of the Bible, there's a literal heaven, so that when you die, on this side, your body dies, your soul moves on, your soul goes on, and we can argue the dynamics of where your soul goes, the intermediate state, and so forth. But when you go to the other side, and then once we have a resurrection body, sorry about the background noise. They always feel like they have to make a great deal of noise around me if I'm broadcasting, so I'm sorry about that. But anyway, when you die, when we die, we have resurrection bodies and stuff. It will be about as real or more as this side. And of course, to say that it's not, you'd have to deny the resurrection. And the resurrection was argued fervently, even by Christ, I believe. If not, I'll take the whole video down. It was at least indicated by Jesus. So, since the resurrection is true, the people will have bodies on the other side. The body will be reconstituted, and for believers, it will be a glorified body. So that means the other side is going to be just as real as this side. The question is, where we end up, in the good place or the bad one. So, anyway, for those people that go to heaven, like I explained, there could be a library archive of everything. Then I was talking with James from Bearded Sovereign Grace. I think that's his channel name. After my morning like talk, and I went almost all afternoon with James. We're talking about post millennialism and stuff. I started to realize that like if the world as a whole starts to grow in greater conformity to heaven, but not perfectly, we could have an imperfect version of that on this side, where there could be like a conglomerate of government information together with the tech industry. Say, for example, the Google and stuff conglomerates with the government and NSA, and they could end up building like an archive in space or something. Our companies could do that outside of legal boundaries and build a huge archive in outer space containing a bunch of data, right? And there could be a quick and easy way for citizens to legally requisition what they wanted to know if they have a strong enough matter. It could be like the McDonald's, if you will, of the legal way of subpoenaing information, where you just franchise. You know, McDonald's, you go order your burger, is easy. You just can pay your money, get your burger. It's the convenience and the streamlined capacity level of that which makes it compelling. So if there's a McDonald's way of people requisitioning information that could be done like on this side, you know, of course Google tracks people and keeps track of where everyone is constantly. So does NSA. NSA is constantly looking over things. If they conglomerated data and put it into like a space archive, the mini McDonald's version of people getting at information, that'd be incredibly interesting. But I would think there had to be some kind of bar as to allowing that or not. Like, if I want to know someone's whereabouts at a given time, what they were saying and doing, there has to be some kind of reason for like wanting to know that kind of stuff. Not, I don't have any guidelines yet to give. It's ethically, it's a little ethically concerning because I mean, I stand for citizens' right to privacy. You know, if they make an imperfect version of that, the side, it's going to have human error in it. It won't be as good as the heavenly version, quite obviously. And I think that's looking a little far into the future. So the one on this side, it's gonna have human error and flaws. Definitely, it won't be the it will not be the greatest thing. That will not be the greatest thing ever. So, and just wanted to clean up from the one yesterday, especially what I said. Was not trying to indict all pastors as being of hell. I was saying that all of them are hirelings. It is just all I was saying was some of them very well might be, because that's what we knew already. We already knew that from the Bible, basically, that there are wolves dressed as sheep, basically. We already knew that. So if you didn't know that, sorry to be the bearer of bad news. But not all are like that. Who am I to say, like I said, who is that way and who is not? I do not know. But if someone's only a hireling, if someone's merely a hireling, then they are only a professional pastor or someone who's just there paid to do a job. So one is to be careful, definitely. Let's see how much time here at Prattlon. Or it doesn't give me the time. That's weird. That's because I'm that end of it. I'm on the hangout side. So, well, was there anything else I wanted to get to? It's drawing near Christmas. Everyone have a good Christmas and so forth. You can see I found a nice little place to broadcast from. I can't wait to hear how it sounds. Also, to clean up from yesterday, my little talk with James on Bearded Sovereign Grace, I was not trying to say that I'm a Muslim. I was just using presuppositional apologetics in order to say a few different things. I was saying what if situations or hypotheticals. That's a little abstract for some to deal with, so I'm sorry if that came across a little funny. I don't have a Muslim sect. I'm not that way. I'm fully Christian, a follower of Christ. I was just doing that thing where we place ourselves on our opponent's side of the argument to draw it to its rational conclusions and preposterous conclusions. Everyone have an excellent, good Christmas. I will talk to people later.